Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clear for the record that the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is in Kittery, Maine. We just want to clarify that. Senator Shaheen is absent. She and I sued each other over that 20 years ago. The United States Supreme Court solved that question.
How many years ago?
It was about 25.
Who won?
The answer is contained in the fact that it's Kittery, Maine. First, I want to compliment our naval personnel for having the foresight to hire the pilot of the Southeast Airlines, who did such a marvelous job landing that plane, who, by the way, was rejected by another armed service, which we won't mention in this hearing, at the time did not take female pilots. The Navy did. And the training and work that she performed in the Navy saved a lot of lives this week. So I want to acknowledge that. Admiral, can you give us a quick update, given the time constraints, on the collision review, what happened, root causes, and what we're doing to prevent that kind of tragedy in the future?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator. I'll tell you, I just echo the impressive performance of the pilot and representative of the professionals in naval aviators, men and women, in all parts of our naval aviation force right now. With respect to the collisions, we are moving out briskly on the plan that addresses, to our very best ability, the root causes of those collisions. Those root causes being the fact that, as we discussed earlier, you must spend some time on just, first of all, completing the maintenance completely, and then once out of maintenance, doing the training required to get those skill sets up to where they need to do the combat missions and just the basic operations. And then certifying that that training has met all of the requirements before you go on out and do that. And so we've taken a number of steps, from examining the career path of surface warfare officers to make sure that they are getting the requisite time at sea as they execute their career and going up to becoming competent and confident commanding officers. Along that career path is not only at-sea experience, but also education and certification. We've adjusted the command and control structure to make sure that we've got firm advocates for training and certification in each of our home ports.
Let me interrupt because of the time constraints.
Yes, sir.
Could you supply for the record an outline of where you are?
I'd be happy to, yes, sir.
Next steps, root causes, next steps.
Yes, sir. And as you know, we've committed to come over and briefing both the staff and the members quarterly on our execution of that plan. The Vice Chief of Naval Operations and the Undersecretary have already provided the first of those updates, and we look forward to continuing those.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, the Navy and the Marine Corps are undergoing their first full audit. Can you give me a quick update on where that process is and any lessons learned thus far?
Yes, Senator. You'll find out here, if not today, that we at the Navy side will have a qualification announced by the auditors, and I want to manage everyone's expectations as to what that means. As we said originally, the audit process is not only creating a tool for us to manage by, but it's also an educational process. As the auditors get in there and start drilling down, we already start learning. The qualification comes from the fact of the number of transactions the Navy has, the dissimilar systems that we're using to actually collate this information, and I believe this is actually a benefit, because what the auditor is going to stop doing is sample testing and actually get down to rolling up the sleeves and doing individual education on systems to understand how the buildup comes.
When can I tell the people of Maine we're going to have a final audit?
A clean audit?
Yes, sir.
Maybe 5 to 7 years.
But you're in the process now of providing.
We are clearly in the hunt.
Thank you. I spent some time earlier this week with the joint force in Florida that does drug interdiction, and this is just a request. We are only able to interdict 25% of drug shipments by sea that we know of. In other words, we have intelligence to tell us there are 100 units out there. We can only stop 25 of them. The problem is assets, particularly in the Coast Guard. My request is simply that you think creatively, cooperatively with the Coast Guard to see if there's a way to improve that miserable record.
Senator, timely observation request. The CNO and I have been working on this now for a couple of months to see what we can put down there as usable resources, because we're painfully aware of the situation. It's not a quick and easy fix in that you have the difference between our titled responsibilities, and we will have to cooperate and gladly cooperate with not only the Coast Guard, but with the Department of Homeland Security.
I understand the limitations, but since we've been talking for the last hour, 4 people in America have died from drug overdoses, and we're under attack. And this is a place where we should be able to shore up our defenses. So thank you for taking that initiative, and I'll look forward to updates.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.